All right, here we are doing the long-awaited video of a 80 or a 100. Because, you know, these are the two vehicles for the most part that people would be choosing between for overlanding, adventures, off-roading. A 100 or an 80. V8 versus V6. Super capable, super duper capable versus super capable, right? So in this video, I'm going to go over that. And let's compare the two. I've had years in these types of trucks and can share my knowledge and what the differences are. So let's jump into it. Let's go based on, age before beauty. Although this one is beauty at the same time, right? So 1995 FJ80. Or FZJ, as some people would want to correct me, because in 90 through 94, they had a different engine in it. It had the same as the FJ62, and then they moved to the 212 horsepower engine V6. Not V6, sorry, inline 6. I stand corrected. This one's triple locked. Triple locked. It's hard to compare, like triple locked versus a 2006 100 series that only has the center lock. It's not really a fair fight, right? The FJ will beat it up all day long. But if we were comparing to a 98, the first year of the 100 series, or a 99, and I think 2000 was the last year they offered a rear diff. But you off-roaders out there probably know the front locking differential is probably more important than the rear. The front's that's going to get you over a lot of stuff and climbing over some boulders or what have you. So triple locked is the way to go. So just knowing that alone, the FJ80 wins. But let's still just discuss this in a manner of comfort overall, what you're going to get out of these vehicles. So, who's kidding who? The V8, the 100 series. That V8's powerful. It's got more horsepower. This one has 275. Again, that's from 2006, 2007, has the 275 horsepower engine. That's the best year of the 100 series, unless you want the rear lock and diff. Also, 98 through 2000, you could get the rear locking diff. Not on all of them, but you had 230 horsepower V8. But this does have a center locking diff. And of course, you're going to have creature comforts a little bit nicer in a 100 series. A little bit bigger in the back. The wheel span, they did change them slightly. In creature comforts, you do have a third row in both. Although you can comfortably fit 3 kids in the final third row, versus this one is more like 7. It's a little bit more narrow. But, people that are overlanding, they're putting in the very back, they're putting shelving units, they're putting, refrigerator slide outs on bearings, some pretty kick-ass stuff. So they usually get rid of that third row anyways. But a 100, when they came out with the 100, it was almost like the whole community was crying bloody murder, because in the FJ80 and the 62 and the 40, the whole lineage, the whole history of Landcruiser was all about a body on frame, which they still are. However, solid front and solid rear axles. That means you can flex. The front wheel can droop real low. The other one's tucked up. There was just so much freedom and movement on these. Without leaf springs, when they moved to the FJ80, the FJ62, ones out there, those have the leaf springs. This one moved to coils and control arms. Now on this particular model, this is lifted about 2.5 inches with a old man emu lift. And on the, as far as clearance, that gives you tons of clearance underneath, right? Not too many boulders are going to hit you. You want to have some armor underneath if you're going to be doing, some pretty ag trails. Whereas this one right now, it is lifted with the automatic height control. So the automatic height control is enabling this to go up an extra 2 inches That's why you're seeing this big distance there, right? There's my hand times 2. So that's got it lifted, and that stays lifted up to 20 miles an hour. So if you're going over 20 miles an hour, it's kind of fast on some off-road trails or fire roads, it'll automatically come back down. Versus that's permanently up. So as far as city driving, which is going to be 90% of people's drivings in these type of trucks, obviously the 100 series wins. It's going to be a lot smoother. It's going to have more creature comforts, better stereo system, better leather, doesn't crack like the 80 series did, more room. But are you going to get stranded and be forced to be saved by the 80 series? And it seems like the 80 series, for someone who's going to be not just doing some overlanding, but doing a little bit more aggressive off-roading, this would be the choice. And triple locked also would be the choice truck to get. Sliders, obviously, to let you slide off some rocks. And let's look at that coveted button. As anybody shopping for an FJ80 knows, that's the button that you want right there. That's it. That tells you that you can lock your rear and your front. It goes rear first and then your front. But let's pop back in. As I was mentioning, I'm trying to keep these seats original, but you can see, even though I'm doing conditioning over time, there's some solid cracks in there. Hasn't ripped right open, but some solid cracks. The rear seat's not so bad. And of course, you know, you got old school Toyota in there. That's like the Camry. All the different models had those same type of dashes and buttons. That I added so that people know what car they're in when they're sitting in passenger. But those rear seats, those are in great shape because they're hardly used. Definitely great shape. And then there's your third row, which is not really removable. In the 100 series, you can remove them with ease. To remove those back there, you got to break out the wrench and undo some bolts to get them out. All right. And original wheels on both, because I think that's just a beautiful style. But remember, we were looking at the distance on the other one. Look at this. That's 1, 2, and then 2 more fingers. That's huge. That's a lot of room, a lot of space. And again, approach angle, obviously on this one, you're going to gain a lot of approach angle because of that bar is covering the turning signals. Turning signals are covered. These are aftermarket lights that I kind of dug. I thought it gives a really nice look. I'm not usually a fan of putting in some aftermarket lights, but these ones are pretty cool. And of course, the LP9s, I think those are the ultimate on the market. And then these are the Demon D-rings. And then this is a AOE for American Overland front bumper. And that front bumper, solid steel. To me, it's stronger, it's thicker than anything else that was on the market, and it's American built, so great quality. And those are some JK lights. I had them custom install to finish off the look. This one's stock, and I never really liked any bars that I saw that come on the 100 series. Really nothing that catches my eye. But on the 100, again, creature comforts. Let's take a look inside. As you can see, that leather is original, is nice, smooth. I think Landcruiser in Japan, they got better with their leathers, and leather wrapped steering wheel as well. But beautiful interior. Great sound system. There's your great automatic height control that came on all Lexuses from 1998 onward, and only available in 2006 and 2007 Landcruisers. And then there's your locking center diff. So that's all you get is a locking center diff. You would have had a button somewhere here if you had the rear lockers, but no longer available. And more space in the back, and especially those seats in the very, very back. Whoops, those come out. Those do come out. And those seats in the very, very back Those are removable with ease, giving you a ton of space back there. But now when you're overlanding, creature comforts, I mean, you're out in the wild, so you need that extra supple leather. You need that sound system to be perfect. You can add more speakers to this. You can put a subwoofer. So although I love this for city driving, cruising, it's fast. 0 to 60 in like 7.1. I don't even want to begin to think of what 0 to 60 is in the Inline 6 212 horsepower. You know, 212 versus 275 is a big difference. V8 especially versus an Inline 6. But when you're off-roading, it doesn't matter how much horsepower you have. You know, the original Landcruisers, they were 125 horsepower for that F155 engine, which is in that red one. Let's go take a quick look at that. So I do have other videos on some of these other trucks. I do a comparison of the 62 right here compared to the FJ80. Check that video out to see what you think and which one's nicer. And then this one, you know, off-road. These things are the kind of like the beginning of off-roading and going to, you know, new destinations. And that only had 125 horsepower. So 125 horsepower to, you just need the torque, right? You need the power. Now, of course, in my videos, I do have this one, the green machine. However, this is all Landcruiser except for transmission, and the engine is a V8 because to push those 40-inch wheels right there, you need some power to churn those. But I have videos on this off-roading and just kind of going over that vehicle a bit. And even a LX 470 compared to a Landcruiser 200 series, which is in that garage. Okay, but back to these two. So FJ80, for the person that's really going to do some crazy off-road and wants the triple locks, this is the go-to in my book. For someone who's just overlanding with the family, the kids, the wife, and you want the creature comforts and just ease, very capable truck. In fact, at the very beginning, in '98, when these came out with the ATRAC system, so they went away from that solid front axle and, you know, rear axle to ATRAC. And let's check out that axle, by the way. See, that solid front axle can do some crazy stuff. Well, they went to independent suspension when they moved to the 100 series. So yeah, well, if there were blogs back in '98, there weren't, but people were saying, this is crazy, you know, why'd they change that? It's part of Landcruiser. But fast forward 5, 10, 15 years, people now are saying, you know what? That ATRAC system is pretty kick-ass, because what happens is it's intelligent in a way where it's going to give more power to the wheel that's not spinning versus when it used to not get any power with any type of independent suspension. So it's an intelligent enough to do that. And you know, those wheels still droop. It's no KDSS system like what's on the Landcruiser that'll disengage. Check out my video on the 200 series for more info on that. But still very capable, and that ATRAC is amazing. But it will never, no system will ever match up to something that actually fully locks. When you fully lock and that tire is independent of the others, it will spin on its own. That is obviously the ultimate, whereas the ATRAC is, you know, 90% of the way there. It's not going to be perfect. You still will have situation going up a sandy hill where you might not make it where this FJ80 would. But let me think, is that about it? I think so. If I forgot anything, I'll add it into the comments, but definitely subscribe if you know, you like cruisers. I compare a 470 to a 100. I compare a 200 to a 100. The 80 to the 62, the 80 to the 100 here. So, you know, depending if someone's in the market looking at each one, it's a tough choice. And as far as like design cues, I mean, I just still love the muscular flared fender wheel wells of the FJ80. That's just classic. And this color, I like the color. And I chose this Landcruiser. I have another white one, but it's been in a couple videos. I chose this one because it hasn't been on video yet, and that's called Black Garnet. So when it's in the sun, it just pops burgundy, and when it's in the shadows, it's a little bit more black. So Black Garnet, beautiful color. They didn't make a whole ton of them, but they are out there if you look. So in my summation of these two, the 100, again, great for a family for doing some light overlanding, and well, not light. I got to give the Landcruiser more credit. You can do heavy overlanding in that. But the FJ80, you can do rock crawling and overlanding and enjoying. You know, the quirks on these, pesky heater hose, and the head gasket, valve cover gasket is what you got to watch out on the 80s. But apart from that, those engines are just amazing, you know, engineering feat from our guys in Japan. And then the 100 series, it's the timing belt. Every 90,000, got to do your timing belt and your water pump is kind of the main thing. CV boots leaking, but those can leak for a while. You don't have to address it right away. If the dealership says you got to change this now, they're having you prematurely do it. You can go for quite a ways before that. All right, so I like both of them. That's why I have both of them. But depending on what type of trails I would do that day, I'd pick between the different ones. But if I'm doing something crazy big, I got to go with the 40-inch tire FJ40. All right, I think that about covers it. Check soon for a video that I'll do comparing a 2006 or 7 Landcruiser versus like a 2000 or 2001. Same body style, both 100s, but there are some differences on the interior, on the dash, the engine a bit. So I'll do a comparison on those soon. But thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Check it out. Got those other trucks, pretty much everything Landcruiser and Lexus on this channel. Maybe I pop a Porsche in and an E55 from time to time. But yeah, cruising the land. Check it out. Thanks for watching. Bye.